Can you hang on one sec? Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, good. Thanks.
You're watching the USL on CBS Sports, presented by Best Western. The majestic Rocky Mountains on this 4th of July, the marquee midseason matchup in the championship. Colorado Springs welcoming Louisville City, and everyone's in the spirit, including Ziggy. Important game tonight. think of what these teams did a year ago. Colorado Springs, their first title, 4 wins in the playoffs, conceding just a singular goal, beating Rhode Island here at Widener Field in the final. While Louisville City, a 12-point runaway, the long-awaited first Players' Shield in their 11th season, and they lead the way again in 2025. And good evening, everyone. Joined by Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand. Happy 4th of July, and hopefully the fireworks have only just begun, Devin. 2 teams here, called a Super Cup, right? Title versus Shield winner. The reality is it is a great regular season matchup.
It's the one that when you put pen to paper, you think, okay, we're circling this one. This is fun because stylistically, they couldn't be further apart in how they go about their business, but both able to achieve success, though not necessarily right away for Colorado Springs. Now, let's start with them. They're just 6 points off last year's title winning pace after 14 games. Let's start there. And what they've been able to create numerically doesn't exactly add up to what the overall results have been either. Now, they're sitting right there at the playoff line. The XG isn't that flattering, but all the business to get them to the final third actually is. Talking to James Chambers midweek, Mike, he said, we're focused on the West and what it looks like for us because of how tight-knit in nature overall it's been. I mentioned 6 points. They're just 6 points off a home playoff spot right now. They do everything in this game. Carry the ball, challenge possessionally. They move you side to side. They manipulate the game to their benefit. They just have to hit that final piece and put the ball in the back of the net.
And how do you do that against a Louisville City side that's dominant in nearly every facet? 10 years of history, 9 conference finals, 2 titles, 1 shield, and they're not slowing down.
The journey of this current iteration, though, started about 2.5 years ago. Now, Danny Cruz, head coach of Louisville, had always floated the idea of moving into a 3-back. When he did it permanently, they started off very linear, A to B to C. As they opened things up last year, so did the floodgates on the attacking side. Second most goals in USL Championship regular season. Defensively stout this year, now the most well-rounded team in USL Championship play. But I'm even more so impressed, Mike, because with all the congestion and all the injuries, opportunities have created quality performances for some young players, including Josh Jones, who is now anchoring the back line once again for Louisville. He can distribute, he's physical, but this is going to be a Colorado Springs team like he's seen from no one else in USL Championship play in his pro career.
He's key tonight without Toshin Ordonez as Louisville City go on the road to take on the reigning title winners, Switchbacks and Louisville City. It's the matchup everyone's been waiting for, and it's next on CBS Sports Network. You're watching the USL on CBS Sports, presented by Best Western. Title winner, Shield winner, Switchbacks, and Lou City. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts, take a look at the lineup for the Switchbacks. James Chambers said there's be some changes. There are.
He's got speed on the outside with Isaiah Foster coming in the left back spot, and the most consistent midfielder they've had access to has been Aiden Rocha, but he moves to the right back spot. We saw that a lot last year en route to their title-winning season. I'm looking at the midfield three, how well they work off of each other, Mike, but most importantly, to create better opportunities in the final third. This is about exploiting space quickly and behind and changing long balls to really move that back three of Louisville City. When you challenge their overall shape, the idea behind it is the midfield gets separated from it. That'll be even more so tonight. At least that's what James Chambers hosts from Colorado Springs, because Danny Cruz keeps Josh Jones at center back. Aiden McFadden drops in. Defensively, you've got coverage, you've got speed. Same thing on the outside. But what does it look like underneath Phil Goodrum? As aggressive as Colorado Springs is, that front three will make you pay quickly.
Zorano and Lambert look on. There's Marco Micheletto among the changes for the Switchbacks. It is the home to the Air Force Academy and the U.S. Olympic Committee. It is a star-spangled occasion. It is a 4th of July tradition. It is Colorado Springs at home on Independence Day. They take on Louisville City in this long-awaited matchup between the reigning champion and the reigning regular season Players' Shield winner. Sometimes you get a schedule national TV-wise and you begin to contemplate which matchups really excite you. And from the very beginning, this was at the top of the list. The Switchbacks as good as any team in the championship after a brutal start a season ago, winless through 6. By the time it ended, it was, like tonight, a sellout occasion for a team that would be crowned a champion, while Louisville City was practically never in doubt en route to the Players' Shield. 86 goals, plus 43 in goal difference, 76 points. In a star-studded history, far and away their best regular season performance, and yet ousted in the conference semifinals for the very first time. It's Jones playing forward to McFadden. And lofting that beyond Manny Perez. So, Devin, we looked at that Lou City lineup. Without Arturo Ordonez, Defender of the Year in Pittsburgh. Without Sean Tosh, multiple-time All-League selection. Does it change the way Colorado Springs looked at this game once they got the lineup card an hour before the game?
To me, the biggest thing that it changes is certainly at the center back spot. And I mean no disrespect to Sean Tosh, only because Aiden McFadden and his speed, he's a good one-on-one defender in general. So I'm not overly concerned there. I do have questions centrally. Arturo Ordonez just moves better, both laterally and in the pocket coming up, and then as you're tracking back. And while Josh Jones has come leaps and bounds, his footwork is not as good as what is the Defender of the Year, right? So you lose a little bit there. But the physicality and timing, I would actually give Josh Jones the advantage in that department. So there's give and take. Just what direction is that heading, and who does it favor over the course of the night?
Amadou Dia chasing it down. James Chambers, second year at the helm for Colorado Springs, came over under Brendan Burke as an assistant coach. Then it was Stephen Hogan that took the position. He moved up the ladder to sporting director and general manager, and it meant Chambers jumped into the head coaching role and won a title in his inaugural campaign. Rolls back to McFadden. And here's Kyle Adams, who's captained the side in the absence of Brian Ombie. And walked out to the line by Isaiah Foster. Danny Cruz, in his 5th season at the helm, signed a multi-year extension in December. He said, "The people here in Louisville are the ones who believed in me. There is unfinished business." He won the Shield, his first silverware as the Lou City head coach. He's got his eyes on that elusive championship this year. Jones. Dev, you and I were here in November, and a sold-out Widener Field is as fun an atmosphere as you're going to find in the championship. We had a great time.
There's a lot that I miss from that day. I don't miss the sun, which is glaring over right now. I'm sure that you don't miss the sunscreen bill that you had to submit on your expense report, but the people, the atmosphere. You know, I was talking to Danny Cruz, head coach of Louisville City today, and we were really gleaming over what is the downtown area. Great food. Love the coffee joints we were able to experience, and just what has grown into a soccer culture that we didn't see really when they first came into the championship. And it wasn't necessarily because of success, though now with what has taken place last year in hoisting a trophy, the success has created an expectation of an atmosphere that is nearly unrivaled every single match day.
Magnificent venue, opened in 2021. It is downtown here in Colorado Springs. Ahead from Goodrum, ball across, will meet Herrera. Jansen Wilson was right in front of the goalkeepers. Had an up and down season, but currently on the up and up. Ball tapped away, recovered by Serrano. Lambert comes out of midfield. Adams. The inside, here's Serrano, one of the most exciting young players in the championship. 14 goal contributions a year ago, and at the midway point this year, actually beyond that pace, 6 goals, 2 assists. Louisville only 1 loss all season. It was on the road against North Carolina. This overcooked. And that's why you wear sunglasses and a hat in the bleachers. Fjellberg couldn't hand it off to Foster. Skips past Serrano and Matt Mahoney, captains Colorado Springs. Goodrum applies pressure.
I would imagine that's going to be a common statement coming out of your mouth with the way that Colorado Springs wants to dominate the ball, Mike. You know, they try and, I use the word, manipulate your shape. Small, intricate passes with an overloaded personnel. They get you to step out of your comfort zone, and then they try and ping a long ball either the opposite side of the field or up over the top. The way that they counteract that is 2 ways. Number one, high line of pressure. Eliminate those early balls to make them feel uncomfortable, or force that long ball sooner. Don't allow the personnel to come up underneath, go win the 50-50, and then come the other direction. Imagine that they're going to be very aggressive on that first line of confrontation, Lou City. We the people hope so.
Herrera, settled by Lambert. He's had a lengthy run with the Jamaican national team over the years. Amadou Dia. Dia, short-armed. Into the stands from Levante Johnson. He's dealt with injury, just his 3rd start this year. And a throw for Jones, captain at the University of Louisville, his 3rd professional start to championship level. 47th pick by Real Salt Lake in 2023, and returning to Louisville for his senior year. Adams. Perez, settling, firing, oh! Philip Goodrum! How in the world did he do that? That's a goal you create in your dreams and can hardly imagine in reality. Louisville City leads.
And certainly one of the bigger assets that we haven't even gotten to yet for Josh Jones is his ability to just absolutely unleash these monstrous throws into the box. A makeshift corner and the ability for one of the best strikers in form right now in the championship, Philip Goodrum, to go make a play. Unreal, the amount of space that he's able to create on his own, but also unbelievable the amount of time that Colorado Springs allows him to have inside the 18 to create the opening goal.
Wilson Harris was the lead scorer for Louisville a season ago. Goodrum seemed like surplus goods from the outside looking in until you realized Harris would be a prime offseason acquisition target, ultimately going to Israel. And so Goodrum becomes the lead here, just scored his 8th goal in 15 games. Foul from Perez, Brandon Stevis, the referee. I think of Phil Goodrum in the terms of what should have been an Oscar-winning movie but wasn't. Of course, I'm speaking about Major League. He's like Jack Parkman.
I was wondering where you were going there with that.
Isn't it amazing how a different jersey makes you feel a little different about a guy? Well, if you're Lou City, Goodrum was the thorn in your side. And then he scores a goal like that, and I'm sure the whole city's alight.
Well, you talked about his 8 on the season now. That's also his 8th in 9 games.
Ooh, that's a yellow card. Amadou Dia getting booked. And Rocha on the wrong end of it, the latest through the right back turnstile for Colorado Springs.
There's the aggression, though, right on cue from Amadou Dia. Late or not into this tackle, you know, they recognize that Marco Micheletto is trying to be able to switch this quickly. Credit to Aiden Rocha. Watch the way that he uses his body. He knows that the pressure is coming. It's either going to be a foul or he's able to get right around Amadou Dia. The contact is always going to be there on the right side. Dia jumps the route a little bit. Credit to both of them, just trying to make a move on it.
Here's Micheletto. Rocha right back. Not necessarily surprising, but intriguing in this game.
You know, I mentioned it over the lineup. This is what we saw last year quite a few times towards the tail end of the season for Switchbacks, where they'd moved him out of the midfield and he really locked down that right back spot. Can also double on the left side if necessary, but the way that they can invert him so clean with the ball at his feet, always head up, trying to step up to the next level with as aggressive as this team is in possession, certainly will benefit them. You lose a little bit of speed with the change overall, but I mean, they've had Matt Mahoney out there. It's been a cast of characters on the back line. I look at it as a welcomed addition.
Zandy, heavy step by Lambert. These teams met in Tucson in preseason in February. It was a 2-2 draw, one that the coach has referred to as chippy, that the expectation would be much the same here tonight. Goal kick for Damian Loss. So Loss loaned in last year after MLS Next Pro Goalkeeper of the Year honors at Austin 2. Was looking for a better challenge. Ultimately goes back to Austin during the offseason. Danny Cruz was largely confident that they'd be able to bring Loss back in. Said, we saw him grow. We were confident that we'd get him back. They continue to develop his distribution throughout the season. But his performances in Louisville saw him extended in Austin through 2026 with a team option for 2027. Flicked on Adams will circulate back.
That's going to be a fun matchup on that right-hand side. Levante Johnson. And I mentioned the word linear for Lou City, how they kind of used to go about their business. That's the type of player Johnson is in the absence of what really is an overall target 9, that prototypical player that you can play through, that you want to get into the box, challenge aerially, and find him inside the 6. They've recreated a variety of ways. Johnson will be about speed, and specifically speed in behind with his pressure, that's going to give Kyle Adams a ton of problems. You wonder how much Amadou Dia is willing to allow Adams to get in one-on-one situations, especially if Colorado Springs tries to go the direct route and up over the top. But Danny Cruz right now isn't concerned with that. He's got a long list of characters that are unavailable for selection, short team, and hoping that that list isn't growing by the minute. Manny Perez down just behind the cameras, went to ground on his own and immediately looked over to the sideline for assistance.
So Perez attended to. Louisville up by a goal inside a quarter hour here in Colorado Springs. Well, you may have seen the athletic trainer circle his fingers around, indicating a sub was needed. Manny Perez is, in fact, coming off. It's Evan Davila. His brother, Taylor, has just been tremendous in the Lou City midfield. First team All-League the last couple of years at RGV, then Louisville. How much does this change the game just 15 minutes in?
It's huge in the sense of it's going to be a look not often traveled for Louisville City. They're going to drop Davila into the midfield. That's not a big change whatsoever. You would imagine, though, the identity is going to be now an overloaded five-man midfield with just Goodrum and Serrano up top. Now, I say you would imagine because this team has become so good in the rotations, Mike, that regularly you're seeing those levels jumped by players. It is also the same look that we saw utilized in that runaway victory against Loudoun. I specifically addressed this look with Danny Cruz in our chat earlier today about the game, and I said, listen, that was something we hadn't seen from you guys. And he goes, you know, yeah, here's what I wanted to do in the midfield. They were trying to challenge Loudoun in a variety of ways. I'm not saying it's applicable here. We'll see how the game plays out. But most importantly, he felt like numerically things were going to benefit them. So while it's not usual for them, they did just have a 4-goal result on the road about 10 days prior against the number 3 team in the Eastern Conference. So they're going to be very acclimated to what is going to be asked of them.
This will be a corner to Louisville. Evan Davila's service deflected out. Slaps hands with his brother. It's Taylor Davila who will take the corner. Evan, numerous trials. Both of the Davilas went to Cal. Said playing with his brother Taylor, once in a lifetime opportunity, which of course takes away from the fact that that once in a lifetime happened in college. Taylor Davila will put it in play. Smashed out towards Serrano. Davila came back onside. Or did he? No, there's a push inside the penalty area against Louisville. And a little extra after the fact, too. That's Rocha who's on the ground. You and I had Louisville's game against Rhode Island a couple of weeks ago, and Danny Cruz said, we don't want to be bullied again. We felt that was the case in the playoff game. They've got a little edge to them tonight.
Looking for balance, the physical side, absolutely. I would also say that I mentioned numbers earlier. His understanding of where the sweet spot is for his team and how they don't need to be that ball-dominant squad. We saw a couple of years ago, that Loudoun game, the 4-1 victory, they had just 24.9% in terms of overall possession. That's the 3rd lowest by a winning team in USL Championship history. 4 goals to their name, and understanding, yes, Ryan Martin's squad went down to 10 men, I get it, but this team has been so good of taking what the game gives to them and just exploiting it to the umpteenth degree.
So the goalkeeper is down on one end, Christian Herrera. Everyone retreats to their benches. And we talk a lot about Danny Cruz, the great tactician that he is. There he is on the left side of your screen leading the huddle I had a chance to talk to him a couple days ago about his dad and about the importance of playing on the 4th of July. He said it's a moment of reflection. His grandparents and his father all served the U.S. military. His dad, Army Sergeant First Class Al Cruz, fought in the Gulf War and then in the conflict in both Afghanistan and Iraq. Couldn't tell me how many tours. He said it was just so many, but there were times where he'd be home for 3 months, gone for up to 14 months. And back then, he just knew he wasn't around. He wasn't around much at all in high school because he was serving. And he didn't understand why. He knows now he did it to protect our rights. He said our country, provide for his family. Context he couldn't understand then. He says his relationship now with his dad is strong as it could be. And he said, I'm not shy sharing. I just wanted my dad around. And he said, I hope that I can raise awareness for kids. It's okay to miss your mom and dad if they're away serving. And so he said, July 4th is a moment of reflection for me and a moment to tell people how proud I am that he's my dad. Thank you, Al, for your service. Thank you to all the military families on this 4th of July. Danny Cruz, one of the most ascendant, creative, tactically astute young coaches in our game. And a tremendous human being as well. Colorado Springs is going to have to make a change of their own, unfortunately. We saw Herrera go down a moment ago, and Jonathan Burke has started warming up. This would be his USL Championship debut. 27 years old from Naperville, Illinois. It's worth noting that there was a genuine battle for the #1 job early in the season, but it was Abe Romero who was in on loan from Columbus. Started 5 games, ultimately got sent off against Phoenix in stoppage time. A red card for denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity that saved a draw. Could have very easily been a loss had he not made that challenge. That saw him out of the lineup the next game. Herrera steps up, manages a clean sheet, which they had been waiting for. Romero goes back to Columbus. And so Burke, who for a time was the #3, has just stepped into the lead job in front of a packed house in Colorado Springs for his championship debut.
Right next to some words of encouragement from a goalkeeping great, Callie Brown himself on the staff there at Colorado Springs. The Switchbacks coach certainly giving him some last-minute guidance for a player who at the collegiate level, you know, statistically with Eastern Illinois, it was decent. Right, 84 goals against, given up in 56 games, and just ton shutouts to his name. But he was granted a 6-year of eligibility by the NCAA. Well, he lit it up. He had 5 shutouts in 15 matches, including the Mountain Valley Conference Goalkeeper of the Year. But what you do at the collegiate level and not having a single rep in a professional environment, it's going to be overwhelming at first. This is going to be about communication from his back line in midfield and the sideline to keep him steady. And if you're Lou City, as aggressive as humanly possible to go and challenge this young goalkeeper and see if you can rattle him early.
Yeah. Callie Brown quoted in preseason saying he was so excited to showcase Burke in the long run. This is never how you plan it. For goalkeepers, it's very rare that you do get to plan it. But he's in now. Halfway through the first half, Philip Goodrum, a gorgeous 9th-minute go-ahead goal for Louisville City. And then Manny Perez injured for Louisville, now Christian Herrera for Colorado Springs. It's been an odd 23 minutes. This struck on a hope and a prayer. You can show off your team pride in style. Official merch from shopusl.com. Check out brand new tees, hoodies, novelty items, and more of your favorite USL team at shopusl.com by scanning the QR code now. Colorado Springs pushing ahead. It's Foster who put a ton of mustard on that. Ricocheted off Fontana. Pops up over Jansen Wilson. Fjellberg couldn't swing the door open. James Chambers showing off the footwork a bit.
Still got it.
Oh, you know that. As good a player as he was, it was so obvious talking to Brendan Burke back at Bethlehem Steel, and James Chambers captained that side with so many young players, leader of men, right? He was the culture, and he's certainly brought that to Colorado Springs. Whether the exact results approaching the midway point of the season give you clarity to that.
Certainly a beautiful footballing mind that, you know, makes his players think about things, always challenging himself as well. I would say more importantly, Mike, great person, right? Someone that's always looking to the individual to benefit the collective, right? You attack the humane side of things to benefit the sporting side, and it certainly doesn't hurt that we'll say he carries a little bit of charisma in his step, doesn't he, James Chambers?
He has the gift of the gab.
I would also recommend not staring directly into the bluest of the baby eyes that are.
Yeah. It's McFadden who spins out, and Fjellberg is going into the book. Joins Dia on the naughty list.
Certainly not that different from what we saw on the challenge on the other side of the field between Amadou Dia and Aiden Rocha. Certainly an interesting rhythm, 27 minutes in. Couple of subs, goalkeeper out. Goal 9 minutes in, courtesy of Philip Goodrum.
Nicoletto. Davila slaloming through. Cuts over, slipped underneath the heel of Goodrum. Serrano tried to help it along. Levante Johnson. It's a bit behind, but Fjellberg able to swing it back ahead and slingshots into the final third. Hits the cross. And just a bit outside. He would have needed a rocket to catch up to that one.
We gonna do this all night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lost draws the short straw. It's not such a short straw in March when it's still quite cold, but on an occasion like this, being the last one in the sun is a blessing and a curse. Johnson, he and Dia lined up against one another once again. Zandy. Rocha. This is looking more intricate from Colorado Springs. Matusala. That would have been offside. Goodrum knew it. Colorado Springs 9th in the West without back-to-back wins this season, feeling that they've had to learn from pretty harsh lessons. Louisville City watched Charleston on Wednesday night in Birmingham, failed to take the 3 points. They get a win here, they'll remain in first place leaving the weekend. We'll see the Battery against North Carolina on Sunday night, 5 Eastern, here on CBS Sports Network. McFadden soars up. Could argue that's a lot of protection for Burke. Well, at least he's gotten on the ball now. Every player just wants to get the first touch when they come into a game, and Burke probably times 1,000 tonight.
Well, a lot of times players, whether it's their first appearance or first start, even the first couple of reps overall, Mike, there's fear. I can tell you firsthand. You get on there and you just kind of look around and you don't want the ball. So
Yeah.
that way it gets like hot potato when it comes to you. But it also, I'll tell you what it does, it creates real efficiency within a player's actions, because all you're trying to do are the simple things. And if you can recreate that over and over again early on, that's all your manager is asking of you.
Levante Johnson unloads and hits Damian Loss. Exploded into space, Johnson there.
I like the way that he drops in here. You know, more often than not, you're going to see him trying to push up high with that speed. Watch how he drags Amadou Dia with him. And then the little cut back across. Now, what you're looking for in the next level of this is Levante Johnson hesitates and comes to the outside. He got both Kyle Adams and Amadou Dia to bite. That's where you're looking at an inverted run by Juan Tejada. Anthony Fontana recognizing it and sneaking in behind. The space is there, most importantly. Just the recognition lacking a bit.
Micheletto. Diagonal ball just out of the reach of Tejada. Final MVP, Juan Tejada. Long known as the best super sub goal scoring wise in the league. He's been a consistent starter, especially since Justin Dillon parted ways with the club. By the way, to your point, I was talking to Vlatko Andonovski, the former U.S. national team coach, about this. He said he came to the indoor game, it moved so fast and ball was sticking to him too much. And one of his teammates, 10 years older, looks at him, goes, "We wear the red socks, never pick your head up." Send it to the next guy in red socks.
To the point, right?
Right.
It's
So if you're Burke on your first game, hit it to the white socks. To be fair, that might be the only hits the White Sox get. They've been better. Southside standout.
they've been worse.
Tejada.
Oh, well done.
Here comes the run from Anthony Fontana. Lays off Fjellberg. That got blocked by McFadden. Still on for Tejada. Who hit that last? It is a corner.
And most importantly for Colorado Springs, again, you're really testing this back line. You're moving, and the problem is, as good as the check down from Tejada is, as well as the interchange from Anthony Fontana, that ball that was coming back across, it was 1v4. You had one runner inside the top of the 18 and four separate loose City players closing off any avenues to be explored. Good step forward, but even better recovery defensively by the visitors.
Set piece for the Switchbacks. And these teams met in July last year. It was Sean Tosh, 90+5 game winner off a set piece. Micheletto to take it. 29-year-old acquired over the offseason from New Mexico. Micheletto.
It's actually not a bad ball served in here. Nearly gets to it, and then credit, by the way, this is not going to show up on any statistician's sheet, but that header to the outside by Phil Goodrum. Touch of class from your striker. It's got to go into the sun, reverse it the opposite direction, push it away from any sort of threat that has come up high from the dead ball.
Jones will come up, take this again. Manny Cruz saw him in person multiple times as he captained University of Louisville. Tosses in toward Adams. Flipped away from Davila. Tomorrow, 7 Eastern, head out the gridiron and catch a heated Canadian Football League battle as the BC Lions travel to take on the Montreal Alouettes. It's right here on CBS Sports Network.
I'm going to stick with the Alouettes on that one.
I was going to say happy belated Canada Day.
Yeah,
well.
That's where I was going with it. Also, you know, guilt by association, as they say, being a Vikings fan, my dislike of the Detroit Lions just funnels over into Canadian football and the mascot. That's kind of my stepping stones, in case you were wondering. You'll sleep better at night now.
Although the irony that the Wilfs also happen to own the Orlando City side that are known as the Lions. Who would have thunk? Evan Davila, that'll land in Denver. Came on as a substitute after Manny Perez came off due to injury.
And they're certainly using him differently than what we saw in the three-man midfield against Loudoun, but I would also say that they're having a little bit of trouble with their communication and their pressure. The midfield a little bit more flat, that slid side to side, and they would allow one to step up and extend. And you know, whether it's Taylor or Evan Davila that are going to be that bridge, you know, bringing Evan, and he's just not understanding some of the triggers. I don't blame him either. They've also shifted into that flat too, then he drops back in. So again, I mentioned the flexibility of this Lou City team. As good as it's become since the change to Manny Perez, just a bit of influx in the overall performance right now, lacking some rhythm in their exchanges.
Loss. Run all the way. Out in front of the Trailheads.
I will tell you that whether by previous experience or certainly the occasion that is today, the yearly trek to Mecca on the July 4th match at Widener Field, they're a bit timid for me, the Trailheads.
Oh boy.
I mean, considering the fact that they were shirtless in 30-degree weather at the final at 8 o'clock in the morning, they were impressive in their march.
And we're a goal or two away from those shirts coming off. Evan Davila, end line. I'll head over toward the apartment building adjacent, which was built by the same folks who own the club, which is good because the number of fans that are hanging on the balconies get a view, I don't think paid for tickets. That's Taylor Davila. Overhit that. Dia. Rocha closed it down well. And a golf shot down the line to gain a little bit of breathing room. Evan Davila, just like in the backyard, well, close. Lambert. Mission accomplished getting that out of harm's way. And Aiden Rocha chugs upfield. Johnson
Dispossessed. Here's Mahoney. Tejada. Mahoney trying to set play. Metusala. Nicoletto dropped off the left, allows Foster to elevate. Zach Zandy, the last guy called for every event he's ever been to, I think. Goodrum scored in the 9th minute. Really industrious finish. Has Louisville ahead here, trying to extend their lead in the Players' Shield race at the midway point of the season to 5, pending Charleston's game against North Carolina at home on Sunday. Good leading touch. So find Fontana. Overlap, Foster. All got away. Fontana. Lobbed across. Soars into the air off of Dia. Brought down by Tejada. Rocha. Jones. Oh, Foster.
That's better, though, from Colorado Springs. And James Chambers wants to make sure that he's able to dissect right down the middle. They won the personnel battle. The numbers game followed, trying to create a more perfect union. Nearly got themselves to the promised land. Again, it's just that last little bit, Mike, to be able to get them over the end line where, you know, they beat you with their possession. They move the ball 30 yards and in, and whether it by decision or lack thereof, I should say.
That'd be indecision.
Oh, yeah, on the ball carrier itself, or the actual runs coming in.
Dia putting that up for Goodrum.
They're just not able to get the quality of opportunity they want out of it. Again, you know, in the Western Conference, top 5 in most of the categories in terms of overall build, but 10th in XG. That's where this team excels, Lou City. I mean, that right there is a low chance opportunity for them that usually ends up in the back of the net. If not for a bit of a slow reaction from Phil Goodrum. Semi-decent ball from Amadou Dia. And what has been pretty quality performance on the road, in altitude, short rest for Lou City. At least in the opening 43 minutes that we've seen.
Mentioned short rest. You can be assured Louisville none too pleased with the way it worked out over the weekend. The Jägermeister Cup match postponed by 22 hours. Louisville City was scheduled to welcome North Carolina. North Carolina was unable to get out of the Raleigh-Durham-Cary area. Their flight was canceled on Friday. It meant Louisville went from a 6-day run-in to a 5-day run-in. The CBA mandated day off on Monday meant even though players wanted to come in and train and get ready for the game, that wasn't allowed, which of course is in almost every instance a good guardrail to have, but certainly made for a difficult process this week.
And as tight as those windows had been, even prior to that, 3 games in 7 days, 10 games in 50 overall, but out of that 50, spending 25 days
Brutal.
just traveling. And to be fair, a lot of teams are going through it, to be clear, but it's a little bit more extravagant in nature.
And you always have one, right?
Yeah.
One stretch during the year that you point at and go, that's the problem. Ball whipped through by Lambert. Adams will track it down.
And yet through all of those problems, they still have virtually a 5-point lead with their 1-0 result right now over the Charleston Battery, albeit at a game in hand in the Eastern Conference. And look at the separation that has really started to take place in the West overall. If you were to compare #1 in the East, Lou City, 37 points. New Mexico currently sitting on 25 points. That's a 12-point gap, 4 games separating the two #1s as we speak.
And that's with most teams having played about 15 games half the season. Evan Davila getting jiggy with it, knocking that through. Taylor Davila trying to pick up the loose change. We saw 2 injuries in that first half with elongated stoppages and eventual substitutions. That's why we have 6 added minutes at the end of the first half. You know, the biggest difference between Jones and Tosh, only one's tucked in. I mean, Jones is locked in, but tossed into the penalty area, ricochets around. Jones flutters across through. And Tejada walked that over the line.
You would think after nearly a decade together there would be no surprises, but alas, you never cease to amaze me.
Sean Tosh, known for his tucked-in, locked-in moniker. Always a well-manicured jersey tucking. Service on the corner. Burke got a punch to it. Gets a good applause from the crowd. A bit more assured than the last. Jones can nick the corner of the 6-yard box off these throws.
It's amazing to me as well, because when you look at him, you think, oh, here comes the physical brute who's got the height, who can jump out of the gym, and instead, he's the one providing the service into the box.
Offered in toward Tejada. Jansen Wilson scored the winner against North Carolina in the cup match over the weekend. Yeah, Jones unofficially leads the team in bicep curls, you can tell. Young man's having the time of his life out here. My man. Here comes Jones. You know, sometimes you wonder, you know, isn't every day leg day for a soccer player? Here's the proof, it's not. Saying he's just going for the ball, and you really hope it's nothing significant for Burke. There's an extra push that came after the fact. Saw Goodrum get hit. Brandon Stevis might have a mess on his hand. There is no VAR in the championship, so what Stevis sees is a yellow card to Goodrum for the contact on Burke, and then an additional yellow to a player for pushing Goodrum in the aftermath. Let's see if we can get a better look.
It's a really difficult spot for Burke to come out here because he has to step away from the post, then track back in. The problem wouldn't have been the actual contact, it's the arm. Watch the arm come up towards the head of Burke from Phil Goodrum. That's the issue the referee has in this situation. Goodrum's right. He has every right to attack the ball. To be fair to Burke, in his debut professionally, the arms are a little bit further away from the body than you would have liked. You'd like to see him lead with the knee, physically be more demanding. But the reason that Goodrum gets himself into trouble is that arm away from the torso.
And then you saw Levante Johnson come in, and to say he pushed Goodrum, I think might be overselling it a little bit. That may be another CBS Sports award-winning Emmy performance.
They already handed out this year's awards, buddy.
It's another offer for old Devin Mike.
Anything we're doing well.
Yeah.
At least we're consistent. Certainly consistency has been the tone for Lou City this first half. The idea, keep the game in front of them. If they were going to allow Colorado Springs to have the ball, give it to them on the outside and make them go around you. And far often than not, they've done a really good job of that. Haven't allowed too much in behind when they have. Decision-making has played Colorado Springs. That's been their MO this season. As clean as they can be, as much as they can move you. Getting to the right spot isn't the problem. It's once they get there, making the proper decision to create the highest quality of opportunity, which at this point would be a season low.
Fontana, Tejada, Foster. Still it's Micheletto. They should let this attack play out. We've gone the 6 minutes. We could go longer than that with the yellow card and the brouhaha a moment ago. Service through, met by Adams. That's it. It is halftime, and Louisville on the Philip Goodrum goal in the 9th minute ahead at the break. So Goodrum showing off all of his qualities and leaves Colorado Springs certainly frustrated. But he's the one who brought the firework in the first half. A brilliant twisting finish sees Louisville City leading against the reigning championship winner. Ziggy in the holiday spirit, and Louisville City has come to the Rockies and given the Switchbacks all they can handle. You're watching the USL Championship on CBS Sports, presented by Best Western. Ziggy, star-spangled on this 4th of July. The USL on CBS Sports is presented by Best Western. Louisville City leads Colorado Springs 1-0 at halftime. It's not the only action in the championship tonight, as Wiz Khalifa would say, black and yellow, New Mexico and Pittsburgh.
It's just the one goal on the night for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds as Robbie Mertz, just after the 70th minute, the benefactor of a poor clearance right down the middle, buries it to give them the 1-0 victory. And as good as this team is defensively, they try and find a way to recreate to the tune of 18 shots, a season high, and now just 3 points off a home playoff berth in the East.
Tomorrow night, Rhode Island and Birmingham meeting up on the CBS Sports Golazo Network. It's a doubleheader with Oakland and Detroit, the late game, and then you and I have the CBS Sports Network game on Sunday night. The Charleston Battery and how about North Carolina FC?
That team can fly. Really excited to talk to John Bradford about how he's going to go out about his business from Ben Pierman. We talked about this on Wednesday, recognizing there's not a ton of opportunities in this conversation, but North Carolina FC, the only team in the championship with a win against number 1 and number 2 seeds. Think about that.
All right, this 4th of July weekend has only just begun. That 4x4 is getting a lot of work tonight, and what a goal by Philip Goodrum. Louisville City trying to spoil the party. They're up 1-0 at the half.
USL on CBS Sports is presented by Best Western. We're at halftime here That's considered a gift to the city, part of the stadium built downtown in 2021. Not disappointed patrons at the moment. Louisville with the 1-0 lead. Come into the booth, everyone. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr. Look, Phil Goodrum has that one magic moment. What did you make of the first half?
That's all you need right now if you're Lou City. It's not like they created a ton more, but they did get what they want out of the game. They kept Colorado Springs in front of them, and they didn't allow them to be dominated within the midfield, which was the biggest concern for Danny Cruz. So within the overall creation in the first half for Lou City, dominance for them is about throwing punches early. It's about making the back line move and allowing your playmakers to get on the end of things. That's what you get out of Philip Goodrum, his work rate. He moves on that front line, coming out of the pocket, and the ability to just start this trickle-down effect where it moves to the right. They get that diagonal ball back across, but well read early by Herrera coming off the line. He would exit the game, but not before what is a mistake. Now, I want to give credit here to Phil Goodrum to bring that ball down quickly on that little half pirouette and then put it in the bottom corner. That's now 8 goals in 9 games, 8 on the season, is 4th best in the championship. But that has to be better from Matt Mahoney. You cannot allow anyone, yet alone someone of Philip Goodrum's stature, to have that much time. You got to step up and apply pressure.
Skip ahead to the 30th minute and Levante Johnson against the World.
This is what I want to see more of. Not just Levante Johnson running at the back line, but the ability for this front three to go more in transition. Again, in the absence of a 9, they want to play more in combination play. They still have the ability to open it up, but was very isolated in the first half. Their overall chance creation, not very good. But to be fair to Colorado Springs, outside of the opening goal, they did not allow Lou City a shot after the 15th minute of play.
Colorado Springs has had no trouble moving it. Now they've got to find a way to move one into the net. We are going to ride this Ziggy footage until the end of time. Louisville with a 1-0 lead over Colorado Springs and their anthropomorphic goat mascot. The goat of the championship ahead at the half.
Tonight's travel map brought to you by Best Western.
It doesn't bother me that Juan Tejada had only 11 touches in the first half, which was second least amongst the group, and only Christian Herrera, who played about 20 minutes, had less. It's the fact that his movements have been pretty isolated. Notice he's just atop the box. That's right in front of a comfortable zone for Josh Jones and be able to pinch in over in that space near Aiden McFadden. The way the midfield moves, you have to be uncomfortable and move even more, right? You have to make yourself get used to the fact that there's going to be pressure on you. I want to see him drop deeper, more active, and also find balance challenging that far side to allow more space for Levante Johnson to open up.
Well, if it's about 6,035-foot elevation on the pitch, it's about 6,100 feet to the shortest trek to a professional soccer pitch in the country. Just peer out of your balcony and spot up tonight. Louisville City with a 1-0 advantage, trying to extend their lead in the Shield race against the reigning champion, the Switchbacks of Colorado Springs. Amadou Dia got popped. Subs at halftime. A pair for Colorado Springs, one for Louisville as well. Jake Morris coming into the game. Lindsey Armand and Akeem Ward in the other way. That, I beg your pardon, wasn't Dia got flipped. It wasn't 13, it was 31. I had my numbers flipped. It was Lambert. Nodded out of play.
And understanding that for Jake Morris, it's necessity that they continue to get him more minutes. Talking with Danny Cruz, said that he could probably do about 45 minutes, but also the fact that Amadou Dia sitting on a yellow card in a difficult battle in the first half kept Levante Johnson and Aiden Roach at bay. I imagine that would have been tested a little bit further here.
Burke rips that out of play. It's worth noting both teams had to use a substitution moment in the first half. So if you're Louisville, there's elevation involved, there's tactics involved, there's also an understanding for both sides. You've got a little less flexibility here in the second half than is typical. All whipped across, skips over Micheletto. Really quite the gift on the backside. Here's Morris. Morris signing a multi-year extension to stick around in Louisville. Danny Cruz saying if I'm doing overtime in the offseason, I'm doing it wrong. June and July is when you should be getting these things done. That'll skip through, and it's Goodrum trying to recreate his first half magic. Not that time. Colorado Springs says they've been knocking on the door, a matter of time before you bust that door down. You get one past the best defenses in the league, climb back into level terms.
Interesting with the change, at least for the moment, that they decided to move Levante Johnson over to that far side. I would imagine, given how comfortable Quincy Armand is in the channel, that they would allow those two to work off of each other, trying to also push Johnson up high in that point spot. Actually did it 2 games back in the match against San Antonio. Created a ton out of it. As we've seen over the course of the season for Switchbacks, creation doesn't always amount to control within the match, no overall success. So they did get 3 in that game. And I think the idea behind it too, Mike, is that people around the league, not us included obviously, tend to hit the panic button, right? The hot takes. said it once earlier, they're just 6 points off of last year's pace. They're currently just 6 points coming into tonight off of a top 4 finish. As much as you want the success of one year to bleed into the next, this is a different team. And it takes time. And you're only halfway through the season.
Veldberg. Morris caught up. Veldberg hits the brakes. Morris eventually wins the battle. It's merely a throw. And it's really easy to go a lot of the same figures in this Switchbacks team. It's not quite that easy. Here's Veldberg. And Morris instantly called into action. Comes over to Micheletto, who's one of the few newcomers.
I would actually say that from just an overall footballing standpoint. Ball on the deck, moving from point A to point B, bridging that gap, trying to find a way to bring new ideas into their arsenal.
Oh, this is really good work. It's a loss, squatting over the Anthony Fontana chance. That's as good as it's been all day for the Switchbacks.
Right on cue. They are better. They are overall better with the ball at their feet. Now, getting goals out of it is another conversation, but this team, just so fluidly, at their best, can slice right through you. Right through the heart of the Louisville midfield. Good exchange on the step up here by Akeem Ward. It all comes from his willingness to challenge that central location. It moves the midfield two of Davila and Lambert, and then the back line has to react, opening up space for that diagonal in behind. Don't get a goal out of it, but that's the creation that James Chambers is looking for.
Akeem Ward, dynamic outside back, acquired after 2 years in Memphis. Taylor Davila. Here's Jake Morris. Only his 5th regular season appearance this year due to injury. Morris sees this soar into the stands. There is the Lou City attack, and she kept the drink intact. Class. A+. But all right, I'm sorry, I got caught off here. There is Lou City with Jake Morris, and then there's Lou City. It's almost impossible to think that one player can single-handedly elevate a team of this magnitude, and yet it seems when Morris is available, this team is so much more balanced left and right and dynamic getting forward. They love getting crosses in off that side. His interchange is good. He's been excellent. No surprise he gets extended.
Well, you hit it from the biggest standpoint of distribution, Mike. Right, his ability to provide these beautiful glimpses for his target strikers coming forward in those late line runs out of the midfield. This is a late challenge, by the way.
If you're going to bring this back, I'm shocked it doesn't come with a card.
I'm with you too, just because of the high nature of what the overall tackle is. But to cap it with Morris, so good of getting up high. Now defensively, he does the work underneath. He's got a great engine, but as quickly as they want to move forward and their ability to provide service from the outside, they've struggled a little bit in that department. When Aiden McFadden went over there, or if you're trying to use Amadou Dia, the overall better defender, to be fair.
Lambert hobbles out of this. Challenge from Zandy. I don't think it was a malicious challenge, to be more clear. It's if you're going to not give the advantage there and you're going to bring it back to this point, I think that's literal tactics. That's a tactical foul to me. Louisville going off the training ground here, and that's where they should have left it. It's over Adams. Able to skip this ahead. It's a long run for Philip Goodrum. Oh, Philip Goodrum deep in his bag. Good run. Oh, a good run.
Nearly picks the pocket on the far side. Philip Goodrum. I like the recovery defending, though. And Marco Micheletto. He gets moved shoulders a little bit too square for my liking. Doesn't allow him to come back across when Goodrum does, but we saw those trailing runs defensively. to eliminate any real threat for Lou City on the near post.
Lashed it frame. Had Jansen Wilson as an option. Appeal for a handball. Even Dev is wagging his finger no. And that's overcooked over Ward and Lambert. Karam's over to Lambert. Kind of skip that ahead to Serrano. Feldberg front running. That over the wrong shoulder. Picked off by Adams. Serrano, Lambert, Adams, Davila. Johnson stymied. Zandy goes splaying, and here comes Johnson. Slips off to the left. Come on.
And yet through all of it, as well as they move forward, the whole time Lou City getting what they want out of it. Watch the ball away from goal. Continuing the travel to the far side of the field, narrowing the angle, allowing Lou City to set itself defensively. Plenty of personnel there, and a picture of Josh Jones in the background, recognizing that no real threat was ever presented.
Morris. Zandy domineering header. Johnson trying to be clever. Jones was wise.
I noticed the last couple of trips though, Mike, I mentioned how you wanted that front line to be more active. Obviously they make the change and take Juan Tejada off. They have gotten that. They've had the ability to stretch this game a little bit further now. It's still one-on-one situations and you're moving away from goal because of how good Louisville have been in their transitional defending. But James Chambers has gotten a response out of his team. As small as it may be, you got to take it as a win right now and just continue to follow that lead.
Good turn. Nicoletto with the jab. Now the long ball. Amon nodding ahead. Blue shirts pillaging forward. Slipped in. Short of Fontana. The intervention from McFadden. Header back. Left a lot of work for loss. Fontana on good terms, but Zandy is down. I mean, you and I have such appreciation for Zach Zandy. Came out of the Union Academy, ended up at Villanova, played at Reading United, which has deep ties within that Colorado Springs coaching staff now.
Oh my, that is
painful.
Gonna leave a mark. He's always been one that you and I have had quite the affection for a long period of time. I would say that, you know, you wish that his career has been healthier.
Yeah, comeback player of the year finalist last year because he tore his Achilles in April.
Nearly retired.
2023. He ended up borderline interning within the coaching staff for the remainder of that year, preparing for the possibility as Zandy plays it back there. Possibility that he may not get back. Pretty much everything outside of contract negotiations and lineup picking he was a part of in terms of film review and on-field work. They think the world of him for good reason. Word from Serrano, there's the aforementioned Zach Zandy. He was available for all 38 games, regular season, postseason. It's the first time he's even come close to having that kind of availability in a single season. And goal contributions to show for it, 6 goals, 4 assists. Mahoney. Rocha. The USL on CBS kicks off July, a hot showdown in the championship's Eastern Conference. Last season's final runners-up, Rhode Island, take on Northeast El Clamico rival Hartford Athletic. It's Saturday, June 19th, 4 Eastern on CBS. Wow. Goodrum. Clearance goes careening off of him. Lambert tried to keep it in the attacking third. And that means he's vacated some space in honest.
Now the gamble in the midfield didn't pay off for Lou City, and very fortunate that Switchbacks don't come away with more. Again, one of the bigger assets that Chauncey has at his disposal, that speed. Good job stretching the game and just clouds the judgment a little bit here. Also some of the vision on the ball back to Micheletto. Had Felberg over his right side, could have stepped on it, allowed the run to continue forth for Johnson. And they've done a really good job of opening the game up in transition to benefit from the space. Still lacking some decision making though.
Free kick to Louisville City. The side who scored 86 goals a season ago. And now have the second best defense statistically in the championship. Only Luke Spencer's resurgent Tulsa side have allowed fewer. Soars up, Jones. Ball brought down toward goal by McFadden. You were laughing earlier about the long throws from Jones means he's not in the box. When he is in the box, he's pretty good at that too.
He doesn't even have to jump and he's above everybody else.
Yeah.
That's also him understanding how to use his body. It's something that he's grown leaps and bounds in since the collegiate level under John Michael Hayden at Louisville. Well, to your point though, you talked about how Danny Cruz had the opportunity to see him quite a few times, being that hometown boy, if you will. One of the biggest things that was talked about him coming out as a professional was his ability to move. Not having bad feet, but understanding how to use them. And I think that's one of the things that I love watching about Josh Jones.
Ball careened free. Johnson over. Herman! It is the switchback season in a nutshell. Johnson lifts Herman up. They know they're getting much closer.
This is their identity, though. When they can't get you in combination play, they go direct up over the top, and they force you to change. Excellent at winning those second balls, and the little step up through by Aiden Rocha. That's the smarts of a quality midfielder who recognizes the space. The second he closes it down, they're off to the races. Good little cutback, and you just got to finish. Plain and simple. Trust yourself in the situation. Gets ahead of his body a little bit, starts to drift, and as he opens up his body, Mike, and drifts back, ball up over the bar.
Herman, native of France, actually came over to the States as an exchange student in Kentucky at Somerset High School. Played 7 games, scored 14 goals and 5 assists. Turns out he was a bit above the level, landed as a D2 All-American at Palm Beach Atlantic, then finished his career collegiately at Seton Hall and UNC, a year at each school. All the while, here's Fjellberg giving a love tap to Serrano.
Still an understanding overall that even with the change as Yosei Hanya enters the mix, as will Charlie Adams into the midfield.
That's it sub-wise, by the way, subs 4 and 5.
They're done. Their scouting department has come leaps and bounds, courtesy of what started off with Brendan Burke prior to his departure. to the Houston Dynamo. Now, of course, in charge of Hartford Athletics. Stevie Hogan's involved, Alan McCann. Alan McCann was an assistant coach on that Palm Beach Atlantic team that Quincy Herman was on.
That's a small world.
Sunshine State Conference Player of the Year prior to the transfer to Seton Hall and then into the ACC with UNC.
Lambert. Well, did he catch Ward's hand? They are having words. Lambert's trying to walk away from this as fast as he can. Whatever you think may have happened, the officials can discuss it, surely, but they can't look at it again like we can. So Lambert practically stands on the ball. Ward hacked away at it. There's a little extra after the fact. This gets out, it's a throw. Let's take a look at this.
I thought it was the hand real time, but watch the inside of his leg when he turns to step here.
On the calf.
Yeah, and again, to be fair to Kev Lambert, he's trying to put his foot down to step across. He's not stomping on him.
Right.
Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Every right to be frustrated there if you're Akeem Ward.
Morris. Everyone backed off. And to your point, it's not like Lambert can't do anything. This is going to be a corner. Did take a deflection. But that is one where if you're Ward, you're showing the back of your calf to the referee going, don't you see? Louisville a goal ahead and trying to take advantage of set pieces, which at times has been their defensive Achilles heel. Double their advantage. Falls, watch out. Morris, well. Davila. If you average the two out, it's not a bad effort, but one too short, one too long.
Sure, row D instead of double Z, but still up over the bar.
Louisville's going to their bench. So here comes Sam Gleadle. This is a surprise. Jake Morris came on at halftime, and he's coming off now. Has only appeared in 4 games this season due to injury. And there is Carlos Moguel, who has started twice, appeared in 7. Had a brilliant season in 2023. Trying to find that level again. 22 years old from Shelbyville, Kentucky, who signed a multi-year deal ahead of the 2024 campaign. Did score against Loudoun on the road recently as well.
Sam Gleadle himself trying to pick up some quality minutes and get back into the mix, right? Making his way back from injury.
Those are subs 3 and 4, by the way. 1 moment remaining. Got Lancaster and Brandon Days on the bench for Louisville City. It's a defender and an out-and-out striker. Also here, notably Zach Duncan still out, brutal leg injury earlier in the year. Now McCabe away, excused absence. Adrian Perez, Brian Omby, Sean Tosh, Arturo Ordonez, all out injured in this game for Louisville.
You know, the change with Jake Morris going out, the first reaction is you hope he's not hurt, right?
Yeah.
I would also say that with his inclusion into the game, as well as the injury that was in the first half that forced Jansen Wilson into that right wing back spot, the game has been more open. They've conceded more space and chances. Now, Colorado Springs hasn't been able to get out of their own way there, bringing Sam Gleadle in, although Lou City fans are going to be accustomed to seeing him up high on that front line, he's a defender by trade that over the course of his career has matriculated his way higher up on the pitch. Lockdown capacity of whether it was a 3 or 4 back system, he understands the necessity of what it is in one-on-one situations, which on that side, they've struggled a little bit here in the second half.
And then Taylor Davila coming off as well. Look at Lou City. He, Kyle Adams, and Damian Loss now the only ones to start all 16 games with Tosh being out tonight. This stretching in behind. Johnson trying to catch up to this, and Loss engulfs. Johnson's been certainly more intriguing as the game goes, playing in the 9 with Tejada coming off.
He's put more pressure on the back line overall, which is what I asked of Tejada, right? It didn't necessarily have to be up high. You want that for sure. Tejada more suited to operate in those gray areas in front of the back line. Johnson certainly on the opposite side of that conversation. But still, it's 20 yards and in, right? They're doing everything right. They give up the opening goal, I get that, but you limit Lou City to 2 shots in the first half, one of which is Phil Goodrum in the 9th. You don't allow another shot for another 30 minutes, and here in the second half, they've had the better looks overall. It's not that they've been trailblazing on the attacking side, but they have been the better attacking team between the two.
Jones, Ward, it's out for a corner. Serrano's offered some thoughts. It'll be Mogel to take it. Mogel, a dangerous spot. Gleadle powers up. Whistle goes here. Let's take a look at the Best Western upcoming schedule. Charleston, North Carolina on Sunday night, 5 Eastern, right here on CBS Sports Network. We're back with you next Friday night from Monterey Bay and Orange County, 9 Eastern on ESPN2. July 13th, it'll be Pittsburgh and Loudoun here on CBS Sports Network. That has turned into a game that I think is going to be really intriguing to watch.
Oh, Bob Lilly and co. have turned up the heat a little bit.
Big win tonight against New Mexico.
Interesting conversation that was passed on between the play-by-play for that match, Joe Malfa, chatting with head coach Bob Lilly of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, and he talked about dividing the season into 3 separate 10-game segments and how front-loaded the first part was. They just needed to retain relevant because they were on the road so much, and he feels like this middle portion is going to give them a real opportunity to step into that top 4 conversation, so much so that upon its completion, right around 8 to 10 games to go, he feels quite strongly that they're going to be in a top 4 spot, and he's got certainly a pretty good case to be made after tonight's result that moves them into 5th, just 3 points back of North Carolina sitting in 4th.
Armand trying to turn the corner. Johnson hits it off the post. How did that not get out of play? Louisville is livid. Credit to Armand, stayed after it. And Louisville countering the other way. That was nearly an equalizer for Colorado Springs. Serrano overcooks that for Gleadle. Louisville almost lulled you to sleep there because they surely thought that got out. And that is the 7th time that Colorado Springs has hit the woodwork this year. That hit the inside of the post. Rocha much improved second half from Colorado Springs. Hanya. Mahoney approaching a quarter hour to go.
Here's the great thing you get out of that Charlie Adams change, though. His range of passing is really going to test the overall shape of Lou City. Dynamic, he'll play that 40-yard ball much quicker than what you would get out of some of the combinations that were in there prior, especially Micheletto. But as he comes high, he's going to feel more comfortable to try and work off of Charlie Adams. He'll give you the ground coverage. Micheletto's going to have a lot more freedom now to go. Both he and Zach Zandy are going to push and really try and create some separation right on cue. There's that ball we were talking about. First touch just a little bit off by Quincy Armand. And look, I'll tell you, the angle doesn't tell the story. Let's be very clear.
Right.
That ball's out. No doubt about it. From that angle right there, that ball is out. However, you got to play to the whistle. You cannot stop if you're wearing a Lou City jersey and think that the referee's going to bail you out.
Ultimately, it is the post that bails Louisville City out there. Lift ahead to Serrano. Serrano from a tight angle. Burke makes the big save. His championship debut, that was the moment. Louisville could have doubled it. Instead, it's still in the balance. Davila pouring forward. Hops over to Ward. He's able to skitter away from Mogel. Back into the area. Mogel pulls back. Here's Evan Davila. Lambert. The option wide. Burke. You desperately hope it's not a long-term injury for Christian Herrera, but this could be Burke's job for a while. This instills some confidence. Ball over to Armand, who's been so dangerous. Armand. Louisville, couple chances to try and get much-needed insurance.
As aggressive as you get from switchbacks, it just gives you a little bit more space to operate through, and that front line, Ray Serrano, Davila have done really well dropping down and much more comfortable in the overall build, especially because Phil Goodrum continues that run going forward. It compresses the back line, the midfield doesn't drop in quick enough, and that allows this ball to recycle back to the outside. Just the one shot on target, 9 minutes into the game now, 3 in the second half for Louisville. Still maintain, switchbacks have had more looks going forward, but the quality has favored the visitors.
So Lambert attended to. Colorado Springs have risen to the occasion here in the game. You see Alan McCann to the near side, lead assistant on James Chambers' bench. You know, Colorado Springs last year was the #2 seed by exactly 7 minutes. They snuck into that on the last day. They could have finished 5th, and instead they get an entire playoff run at home. Oakland, Orange County, Las Vegas, and then the final against Rhode Island. And they started 0-5-1, and you talked about it earlier, the idea that some people are prone to hit the panic button.
Yeah.
And James Chambers isn't. He's so measured in the way he's looking at the grander scheme, and yet he knows this season's not the same as last. You think to July, they had already gone on an extended unbeaten run. It's just a little bit harder this year, but it doesn't mean it's not all right there for them. And whether they get a point out of this game or not, you can go, we're halfway through the season, we're sitting handful of points beneath the line. It's all still out in front of us, and we already know we can do it.
James Chambers and I are quite similar in nature in that whether it's the statistics backing up the argument or the eye test, we'll be the first ones to tell you something's wrong or it's not going well. That is not the case for this team. Case in point tonight, hit the woodwork once, have created their fair share of chances in multiple locations on the field, I might add. This is just a little bit of lady luck as well that hasn't fallen on their side of things, that also was a real detriment at the start of that 24 season.
And they had that lady by the time it was over. And he said, the odds of you making it go, making it click in the 30th game and making a run, so unlikely. Bob Lilly said much the same to me last year. What Phoenix did 2 years ago may never happen again. Come out of the 6th seed, play on the road every week of the playoffs, upset after upset. There was fairy dust on that run. So for Colorado Springs to rise into the 2 seed by the end of the year, play so well, you look at how compact the West is, there's no reason they can't go make that run again. And they are pushing every button they can right now to try and get this right here tonight. And trying to do it against what is the dominant beast of the championship from Louisville. As Colorado Springs rapidly moving forward again, and Louisville on occasion racing into the final third to try and put this game to rest. So run all the way down to loss. That'll run all the way through. Switchbacks will go to Birmingham after the bye, then host Lexington on the 1st. Louisville actually will play a friendly against Leganés, a side that beat Barcelona in La Liga this year at Lynn Family Stadium on the 12th. And then the return of Luke Spencer, head coach now at Tulsa, folk hero in Louisville. Angling for space and looking to sneak it out to Rocha. That didn't play. Hanya. Louisville has a sub waiting. It's the youngster Brandon Days, but they're not going to make it here on a set piece. Micheletto. Got it away from Zandy. And Mogel. Micheletto swerving. Serrano pressing. Ball ricochets off of Johnson and out. Apparently hit a Louisville player somewhere in there. It looked like Johnson got the touch on it. It is another corner.
It's really tight pressure from Ray Serrano, but credit to Marco Micheletto, who keeps this thing alive and gets anything out of it at all, but still, defensively. Watch this team, Mike, when they set themselves, their ability to face the game and then step in as it comes back across. Very well prepared.
Brandon Stevis reminds everyone the ground rules. Jansen Wilson and Levante Johnson exchanging pleasantries. Herman, first ball away. Adams brings it down. Whacks it wide. Hanya, what a move by Davila. Cuts back. Ward. Player drops down for Louisville, the edge of the 18-yard box. That should allow Lou City to make their final change. Here's the chance.
A little bit surprised Akeem Ward doesn't change his run here a little bit on the angle. With Yosuke Hanya, when he cuts it back across, you know, he then explodes to the end line, Mike, and the idea being if he could get it in front of Akeem Ward to attack it more at a head-on angle, instead closes his body, his shoulders move away, and Then you got to put more English on it, take pace off the ball. Much more difficult for them to hit.
And Jansen Wilson coming off. How cool is this? Here comes Brandon Days. His mom, winner of over 200 games as the head coach at the University of Louisville. 16 years old from Louisville, Kentucky. Started in the Jägermeister Cup game against North Carolina. Was part of the team last year, featuring in a couple of friendlies. Paolo Del Piccolo, who leads the academy now, former Lou City captain, spoke so highly of Brandon Days at the time. Said he's not fully developed athletically yet. He was at the time just 15 years old. But he said in so many ways he's miles ahead of so many of his peers. And he just got put into a pressure cooker for his championship debut with 5 minutes to go.
With one of the most impenetrable back lines in all the league early on this season, quickly they have had to rely on their bench, both Josh Jones and Days on now.
Hanya, that's Jones. No Tosh, no Ordonez. That's who you rely on wave after wave of pressure historically. Instead, it's Jones, the first-year player for Louisville, and the academy product Days, along with the captain Adams in that back three trio.
The whole idea for Days here, very similar to what we talked about in the first half for Burke, just clean in your efforts, right? Keep the game in front of you, keep communicating. Check over your shoulder to see exactly what line you're carrying defensively, but don't overcomplicate the game. And I would use the same advice that we used for the goalkeeper Burke, a Lou City, on how to attack. If I'm Colorado Springs, as good as they've been of opening this game up, Johnson and any runs coming out of the midfield really challenge that back three, make Days think about what he's supposed to be marking and where.
Well, they went right for him. Up to the task, out to Serrano. Be a decent amount of stoppage time to be had here too. Can Louisville see this out? Stretching back to last year, one of the longest unbeaten runs in championship history, snapped by North Carolina, but their only league defeat of the season a couple weeks ago. Looking to consolidate their lead, top the East and in the Shield race. Pops over to Serrano. Leaps through the challenge by Adams. And that's a letdown. Surprised how far Louisville is continuing to press the build?
I don't necessarily know if I agree with that overall, just because of moments like this.
Days got in there on Hanya.
I would say that they're still active in their pressure. It's not a constant press up high because of how quickly Colorado Springs are able to make their decisions. You know, they're understanding that, okay, if you're going to give us the space on the outside, which Louisville have consistently done, you have to make your decisions faster in order to get to the next level. And over the last 10 minutes, they've done a really good job at that. The runs have been faster. Certainly, chances more aplenty. And yet still, the number that matters most remains the same.
Nicoletto plays short. Top of the 18. Adams leaping up. Matusala. Mahoney. Mogel, Jones, Days. Some really young players being tasked with really big roles right now.
This is where all that movement, though, that we talk about for Switchbacks has to take another step up as they compress this Lou City backline. Watch how flat you can get them. There is space to operate. It's just outside the 18. You got to quickly bypass guys like Kev Lambert and Mogel in the midfield.
Soares in behind. Attempt to keep that in. Contact inside the penalty area. The referee says no. Herman goes flying to the ground. And this sold-out crowd makes their voice heard. That's going to stay in on the line. Colorado Springs will build again. Driven forward again, McFadden against Ward. Pointing for a goal kick, Loss, and now Mogel, and now Serrano all having words with Ward.
A patented direct ball. First touch, thought he was going to try and cut it back across, and on this little dummy, I don't see it. You know, he's leaning for it immediately. Herman right in front to initiate the contact, and his body's already going to ground, even if there is an actual infraction.
Loss is the one who's breaking up all the conflict. We go into stoppage time. Brandon Stevis really isn't having it.
The initial one on the end line is where the frustration starts with McFadden. It's certainly a foul. Ward knows it. There's a little bit of a kick out. I don't know if there's a ton. But after the fact, making sure that the band of merry men continues on with their lead. Keem O'Connor Ward not having any of it, and then, well, here comes the sparring partner. Rest assured, the full depths of the dictionary certainly utilized to the best of their abilities.
Those words are in the dictionary?
Told you they took French in the offseason.
Yeah, okay. It's more of the chippiness that we heard came through the preseason meeting between these teams. Yellow card came out there. And that is to one of the benches, although that's unclear whom. 4 minutes, but the first 100 seconds, the ball wasn't in play. So how much time really remains? Only one man knows now. They're gonna have to go the length of the field, Colorado Springs. And there are 5 shirts, make it 6. Purple 7, trying to lock Colorado Springs into the corner. Did go to a member of the Colorado Springs bench. Micheletto wasn't able to get much on that. Goodrum flicks that outside, and Evan Davila puts it out of play. Minimum 2 more minutes. Johnson and the long limbs of Lambert launch it away. Still another 100 seconds at minimum. Herman hits a huge switch. Excellent. Hanya glides past McFadden. Hanya! Is that the last good chance for the Switchbacks?
Yosuke Hanya wanted some help here from O'Connor Ward on the outside, but he didn't get the overlapping run. So on the cut back in where he thought the support was going to come to play this ball into the channel. Notice the body of Hayden McFadden. That's a great switch defensively, to be fair, but the individual effort and explosion by Yosuke Hanya outdoes him. Same conversation as minute 5 as we're having as we approach 95, Mike, in that they are getting themselves into all the right spots, Colorado Springs. Just a tad off.
Days drives it out. Hit the ball to Utah if it comes to you, if you're Louisville right now. Wyoming, as far as you can kick it. You could easily see this get to 90+5 with the stoppage right at the commencement of added time. Turned over, and Louisville picked their head up and gave it away cheaply. Free kick, Colorado Springs. They're just too slow to get out of traffic. Hit the big switch again. And McFadden able to hold off Hanya. That's it, it is full time. They blow the whistle 4.5 minutes into stoppage time. And Louisville City goes to Colorado Springs and defeat the reigning champion 1-0. Philip Goodrum in the 9th minute, the winner. And a rose by any other name, Super Cup or not, the two trophy winners from the championship go tooth and nail into stoppage time, and Lou City win it 1-0. Danny Cruz offering his post-game thoughts here. Louisville wins it 1-0. They will leave the weekend in first place in the Shield race. We'll show you how it happened when we come back. USL on CBS Sports is presented by Best Western. Oh, that's cool, Lou City supporters. This is the winning head coach, the winning team, Devin, speaking post-game.
They got away from their game plan. They got selfish at the end. Danny Cruz reminding them that it's bigger than any individual effort. This is about the badge, the collective. And fortunately enough for them, they had the lead at the end of it, but not happy with the way that his team finished, even securing 3 points.
Let's take a look at the full-time highlights in this game, and the biggest highlight is obvious. It's the winner.
Josh Jones absolutely dislocates his shoulder every time he throws this ball into the box. so powerful in nature. Into the box, and then for Philip Goodrum, now 12 goals in 26 regular season games. This is about his individual brilliance, Matt Mahoney's inability to get stuck in, and Lou City off to the early lead.
Add to the 74th minute, and for Colorado Springs, they grew into this game. They did this part just fine. What follows is the issue.
Nearly every single chance that they were able to create was in this fashion. The problem is that last ball coming back through. The cutback across the body for Levante Johnson, moving away from goal with players in front and a foundation set for the goalkeeper. Off the post or not, this is the overall identity of what has been a troublesome attack for Colorado Springs. Nearly, but almost doesn't count. And I'll tell you what, Mike, it's not just their inability to hit the back of the net. Unfortunately for them, they slip up early. They've now conceded 4 goals in the opening 15 minutes of a game. Only Indy 11 in the Eastern Conference of the USL Championship with 5 has conceded more. So when you're having trouble trying to put the ball in the back of the net, it doesn't help that you're making costly mistakes and allowing the opposition to get out in front early.
And the stat that you don't see, it is the 7th time the Switchbacks have hit the post or the bar this season. Well, Ziggy and the Switchbacks ultimately come away disappointed tonight. The fireworks are just now beginning. Coming up on Sunday, Charleston hosting North Carolina, trying to keep pace in the East. 5 p.m. Sunday here on CBS Sports Network. For Devin, our entire crew, Mike Watts saying have a happy 4th of July. This a presentation of CBS Sports Network, 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Good night.